What if your artist life didn't have to feel like a constant grind? And what if slowing down was actually the thing that propelled you forward? Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I want to discuss something that I know so many of us experience, think about, talk about in private, but never actually maybe say out loud. If you're new here, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashlee Espinosa. I'm a coach, a performer, an educator, a professor, someone who has literally done it all in my 20 plus years in this industry. I have been an entrepreneur. I have built businesses. I have done everything I think possible from every angle in this industry to make life in musical theater and now expanding into even on-camera work and many other avenues, because we know that's what we have to do to maintain this type of lifestyle and career. I've done it all. And I want to share with you something that has been happening in conversations behind closed doors with a lot of my colleagues, a lot of my mentors, and also a lot of my clients. And something that my husband and I, who's also in the industry, what we've been talking about quite a lot. And I want to share that with you in this video. This conversation has happened quite often, not just with my colleagues and with my clients, but in my own home, wherever I may be. Right now, filming this video, I'm on the East Coast. And if you look at a lot of my videos, some of them are in conference spaces and on the West Coast of my home there and in my home in Mexico. And as I'm traveling for work in so many different locations. But right now we're finishing up audition season. If you're watching this video as I'm currently putting it out. And being on the East Coast the last 6 months has been such an interesting evolution of our industry. And this is something that my husband and I have been talking quite a lot about regarding life, regarding slowing down, and this hustle culture that is a badge of honor in our industry. And so I want to take you through this step by step. And the first thing I want to share with you is how this caught up to me and how it affected me and how I've been able to make the shift so that I have a joyful, creative life, not always perfect, not always joyful, but a life that really truly does bring me happiness and joy as an artist. Because redefining success is something that I have done constantly in my life. My husband and I break our life up into eras, and then in those eras are different chapters. And it's something that I've really been sharing a lot with my clients in sessions, and something I talk quite a lot about in all the content I create on my blogs, here on YouTube, and on Instagram. Because success really cannot be defined in one term like Broadway or bust for those of us in musical theater, or Hollywood in LA or nothing. Redefining success really has to come from what brings you joy and what fulfills you both as an artist and also as a person living in the current state of the world. There was a time in my career where I was working 60, 70 plus hours a week, probably even more if I actually sat down and really honestly count them. And I thought that was a normal. It was a normal thing to do that. Not just, you're putting up a show and you're doing 10 out of 12s, or you're working a day job and you're performing at night. I was doing this month after month, semester after semester as a full-time tenure track professor. I was also directing at the same time. I was also performing at the same time. At one point when I was full-time tenure track, I was also teaching part-time at another university secretly. Well, it wasn't a secret, but they didn't put two and two together at one point. And I look back now, and that was when I was in my 30s. I look back and I think it was such a badge of honor. Everybody said to me, "Oh, you're living the dream. Hustle culture. Yeah, you're getting it done." And I was so unhappy. And I was thinking and saying to my mind, oh, this is what life as an artist is, especially for those of us in theater and in musical theater. I got to make my money. I'm teaching musical theater. I'm coaching musical theater. I was directing at the college level, and then I was performing regionally. And I thought, this is it. This is what I wanted. This is what I went to grad school for. And at one time, I just stopped and I was like, I'm so unhappy. I'm so bitter. And when that bitterness starts to kick in and anger, and I'm sure my students saw it. I know my colleagues saw it. There was toxicity that was involved as well, which is a whole nother conversation. But when I was so unhappy because I was working so much that I had nothing left for myself at the end of the day. And the only person you wake up to and the only person you go to bed to is yourself first. And the crazy part is that, my husband was doing the same thing. My husband was a full-time tenured professor, directing constantly, sometimes multiple shows at the same time. And like we always joked to people, and we always said, yeah, we're like ships passing in the night. I look back now and I'm like, wait, what? I wish someone had said to me, hey, some red flags here, some red flags in the way you're living your life, because we were making a lot of money at that point in our time, in our life, in our career. But what's the point when you're so miserable and happy that the only thing you spend your money on is recouping to get to a point where you feel normal again? And we would do that like every 6 months. Vacation, don't do anything for like a week, and then you'd come back and you're like, great, I'm here to do it again. And then you would have that same cycle over and over again. And that was a badge of honor. But I was exhausted. I was drained. And at one point in time, there was no creativity left. I was like, I just have to teach this class. I just have to get this show up on its feet. I just have to fight this one more battle. Every day, it's a new battle to get my students what they needed, to get something what I needed to do my job as best as I could. And at one point, I just thought, this has to end. This has to stop. And if I don't stop it, then someone else is going to stop it for me. And that's literally what happened. And I look back and I think, oh my God, if I see someone, and I do, if I see someone going through this, I will immediately say to them, red flags, you're not going to make it. You're going to hit a breaking point and you're going to say, nope, not doing this anymore. Can't do this anymore. So if you've ever felt so drained, so exhausted, so separated from your own body that you're getting up and doing something just to make money, or just to say, I have this job, I have to do this. You don't have to do anything at all in this lifetime. And at one point, I started to question why I was even doing this in the first place. And the answer that I always came to, which I'm sure, you probably feel this way as well. And if you do, let me know in the comments, but money, right? We say follow your passion, right? Yes, we follow our passion. If we weren't passionate about the arts and storytelling, we won't be here in the first place, right? And so I kept coming back to, money. I have to do this for money. Well, there are so many ways in the world, especially now, that you can make money. And it may not be the same amount of money, but what if you made less money so that you could rest and recoup? And then that way, every time you came back, you weren't coming from a fried, burned place, recouping and having this constant breakdown, tear down cycle. And that's what I finally discovered that I wanted to try to create in my life. All that hustle wasn't getting me closer to, my goals. At one point, you have to decide, is the goal to make a crap ton of money? And if that is, then that's a different conversation that we'd be having. Or is the goal to really have some type of joyful, creative life? And I don't mean joyful every day. Every day is not happy or joyful. And so you have to stop and ask yourself one day, if I give myself some type of creative outlet, it may not turn into money that day. It may not turn into money that week or that month. But is that something that's going to give you some type of worth, some type of monetization in a different way so that it fuels you to make money in the way that you're making it in that point? Because I really truly stopped creating art for joy, for fulfillment, and I started creating it just out of necessity. And nothing good comes out of art when we're just doing it for a necessity, just doing it for some type of constant output, and the reward being money. And this can be in your life as a performer, it can be as an academic, it can be as a coach, it can be as an entrepreneur, it can be as a musician, whatever you're talking about doing. The system that we're often put into, built into, like baked into, is output, reward, continue grinding. When you grind so hard, you have to take a big rest. Fine, take a rest, refuel, recharge, come back, grind it out again. That process is not sustainable. I tried it, okay? I don't want you to continue to go through it. And I'm not the only one who can really speak on this. I'm sure you have experiences, but my husband is actually in a very large shift to get to his joy, his artistic joy, that of course also not only fuels you internally and artistically and creatively, but makes money, because we all have to make money in this industry and we often avoid that with our artistic creative outlets, but we have to make money. And so he really was in that constant system, right? Output, reward, grind, rinse and repeat in academia as well. And he decided enough was enough. And so the most recent job he had was he was the chair of musical theater at Boston Conservatory at Berkeley. And it was one of the, it was the top job that he's had in his career after having, 4 other positions, all the way from community college to BFA programs and then to one of the top programs in the country. And he was so not fulfilled that he said, I can't do this anymore. I need a change, and it's going to take some time. And so he built his entire business and said, I'm not going to continue to refuel. I'm going to do this for me, and I'm going to make this work. And so now he built a business, as we have been known to do multiple times in our lifetime. He built a new business from literally scratch, no investment money, which is what we always do. And he is now a destination violinist, and he plays all over the world. I'll link his website down in the cards below, in the description below, and his Instagram if you want to check it out. And he literally one day just said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Let me find a new creative outlet that also makes me money. The bigger truth that I'm really wanting to share with you in this video is that you're not lazy if you take a break. You're not quitting if you want to make a shift. And you're not broken if it didn't work out the way you had planned it. You're simply waking up in this moment to something that is no longer, or at least right now, isn't fulfilling you. And that's okay. We often get caught up in this system that if I leave musical theater, I am a loser or I'm a failure. Absolutely not. No one is thinking that. And if you think they're thinking that, then you're absolutely wrong, because all they're worried about is what they're going through. And if you need to take a break from scrolling, from TikToking, from Instagramming, from whatever, stop. Everybody's so busy, they're not worried about you. So you have to be worried about yourself. And you taking a break, or you saying, this is not serving me right now. I am not happy for whatever reason. Maybe it's creative outlets, maybe it's toxicity, maybe it's trauma, maybe it's your lifestyle that you're really wanting. Maybe it's money and you want to make more money and take a break, reset. And then if you want to come back to this industry, do it. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is the mentality that you cannot take a break and you cannot slow down, because if you do, you're going to be left behind. Someone else is going to pass you. If you stick with that your entire life, that constant grind, you are going to burn out multiple times. You're going to be bitter, you're going to be angry, and you are not going to feel successful, whatever that definition means for you, and you are not going to feel joyful with your creative life. And you are also going to be missing out on so many other opportunities in this world, in this life, that may give you other outlets, whether it is creative, whether it is making more money, but you're going to let things pass you by because you're so worried about this one thing, rather than saying, I need a break. I need a reset. I need a pause. I need to slow down the hustle culture, because that badge of honor of constantly working, constantly grinding will not serve you in the long run. So here's the bigger truth I want you to think about in this moment. You're not lazy. You're not falling behind, and you're not broken. You're simply finding a new outlet and a new shift in your artistry path, where a reset is part of your process, where slow doesn't mean stuck, and where your creative rhythm can shift over time so that it actually matches the rhythm and pace of your life as it shifts over time as well. If this resonated for you, I made something really special for you. It's in the description box below. It's my 5-minute daily reset, totally free. Check it out. Also, if this video was helpful for you at all, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I have new content coming out every single week to help you with your creative career. And I really want you to check out this video next after having this conversation. I'll see you there.